What is up, my friends, and welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm gonna be commentating over my run in a $700 tournament on a new balance patch. So last night I played in this tournament. It was on my free day, so I didn't want to do live yapping, so now I'm gonna yap over it. I got invited to this tournament. It is a $700 tournament, like I said, on a completely custom-made balance patch. I had a look at it, obviously, before, because I wanted to know what I could abuse. And it really did seem like something that I have wanted all this time, which is just for the Blizzard patches to freaking mess up the game, because I want new tools to play with. It's, in my opinion, the most fun StarCraft 2, and this patch actually has a lot. Now, I'm not going to be able to tell you guys all the changes, because it's literally like 20 big changes per race. If I remember, I'll put the link to the changes in the description or the comments. If I forget, you can make sure to let me know. I'm a silly goose, but I think I'll remember this time. But anyway, first game is going to be against a Diamond League Protoss. And I already had a couple things I wanted to abuse. So first things first, because in actual SC2, right, without a custom balance patch, mech kind of sucks compared to bio. I really wanted to try out every single mech change here. And one that I noticed that I thought was very, very interesting was that Blue Flame for Hellions now do a bit of extra damage against shields. And the reasoning for that change is basically, as Terran mech, you don't have anything that's really good against Protoss. You can pretty much sit on a million tanks and have Blue Flame Hellbats, and they're gonna be good against Zealots, but literally nothing else, right? And if you're ever out of position, or if you run out of too many tanks or enough Hellbats, you die. So I thought this was a pretty cool change. Obviously, me being me, I'm not going to take this to a regular standard macro game. I'm going to do the most abusive timing attack I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be bringing back Raven Hellion to Grandmaster, if you guys remember that challenge. Actually, a very successful challenge against Protoss. Mostly because Protoss players never played Stargate in that meta, at least, right? Because one Oracle would probably deal with the Hellions and stuff. But what I would do is I would go double Factory Reactor, Mass Hellion plus Raven. And then I would anti-armor missile and dive in with the Hellions, basically. Now, since here the Blue Flame does more damage against shields, I thought instead of that reactor, we could go for one Tech Lab and make Blue Flame, and it's going to be very strong. Another thing that changed here is the Raven. Ravens on this patch can be made without a reactor. As far as I remember, I think Interference Matrix, everything about it was nerfed. Besides that the spell added is slow as well, so the research time takes longer, it's more expensive, etc. And they also removed the anti-armor missile and replaced it with a repair drone for mech. So I can basically have like mini mech medevacs from Ravens that don't need an add-on to be built and are cheaper to build as well. And then I can attack and kind of do some, drop down 3 mini medevacs for my Hellions and dive in. That was the plan for this game. And there's a bunch of other mech changes as well, but this was the first one that I wanted to get into. Also added a lot of upgrades, by the way. There's an upgrade so siege tanks do less splash damage. That's the upgrade I needed to get into campaign but didn't. There is also one that makes Cyclone a bit faster, so they have the same speed as the Hellions. This was already a very successful attack, of course. And interestingly, I saw that he took a 3rd and 4th gas, and indeed he did go for the Stargate. So that is unpleasant. However, he hasn't scouted my base, so what you can do, keep in mind something I always say. Even if your opponent has the theoretical counter to your units, like detection versus DTs, for example, they still need to be in the right spot or the counter doesn't matter. So what can you do? You fly your Raven to the corner and you arrive into his base from downtown, and his Phoenixes are probably not going to find you. Now, obviously, if you had been scouted already, this would be a bit of a problem, but for now, this looks pretty nice. Now, I was really curious to these Hellions, because the extra damage to shields is 5. Maybe you have 10 Hellions, that's 50 extra damage. It's very likely that Protoss units get absolutely shredded, and they might have to go for something like Colossus. Like, this kind of stuff is actually pretty good against Stalkers. Now, here I didn't want to fight because my Blue Flame wasn't ready yet, and I didn't want to trade/lose my Hellions before that time came. Now here you can see my Ravens. If you look at the mini-map in the top middle, you can see the Ravens are arriving from downtown. Blue Flame is just finished, and now let's look at the damage. The Stalkers are stacked, and the shields are gone. Absolutely delicious. And now I'm going to get my repair drones in here. They're going to be able to heal my Hellions a little bit. Very good, because the Stalker count is quite low, so the DPS is not going to be that great. As you can see, my Stalkers are actually not really taking damage here. The repair drones don't have infinite energy. They run out pretty quickly, but for one little bust, it is really, really nice. I think for tanks, it's also going to be greater, and my first abusive strategy was a success. For game number 2, what I wanted to abuse was the Reaper, because this patch brought back one of the upgrades/abilities that I really, really love from Wings of Liberty and that I would have used so many times in my YouTube career if it was still there. And that was the fact that the Reapers were extremely good against buildings. So with an upgrade here, Reapers do massive amount of damage to buildings. Now, sadly for my opponent, he tried to take a sneaky gold base, recalled his probes there, didn't have a recall available, so he pretty much died to 2 Reapers. But at the end of the game, we could still see how delicious the Reapers were against buildings, and it was just, I need it back, guys. It is just absolutely beautiful. Series number 2 is going to be against a very solid Grandmaster Zerg called Fjant. And let me tell you guys, if you are excited for some baboonery, some trickery, me abusing some new tools, then this is going to be perhaps your absolute favorite series of the year, okay? This is... We need all of this, guys. Now, let me tell you guys about a couple of things that I'm going to be abusing in this series. So, like I mentioned, it was going to be a lot of mech abuse, right? There were a couple of things for bio that were really cool, like the Reaper, like I mentioned it at the little snippet of game number 2 of the last series, right? Reaper, very cool. Against Zerg, you can't really use that because Zerg units are just too fast, right? So they'll just catch your Reapers and... yeah, you might kill 1 hatchery and lose 20 Reapers for it. Doesn't sound that great. And there's also an upgrade for the medevac, if I remember correctly, that makes it heal 2 targets at once. Now, that's very late game stuff. So that's pretty cool for bio, but I feel like the mech stuff was all really, really awesome, and I had to try it. So first of all, Banshees get an upgrade on the fusion core that makes them do splash damage in the line. So as you guys know, I mean, I love Banshees because they're quick and you can outplay opponents with them. But realistically, they are not super good beyond the first couple Banshees with Cloak stage, right? Like if you have 10 Banshees later on and have a decent amount of anti-air, you're pretty much going to have to hide behind your planetaries, which I'm probably still going to be doing anyway because I love doing that, but it's not the strongest unit ever. So with that splash damage upgrade, could become a very strong unit. Also, battlecruisers were straight up buffed. And before you guys get upsetty spaghetti about that, let me give you guys a little bit of high-level context there. Battlecruisers are considered to be powerful in the lower leagues, okay? And I'm really thinking about up to Platinum League, maybe, up to Diamond League, maybe. For high-level gameplay, battlecruisers are honestly pretty awful. You pretty much never see them, actually. That might be one of the absolute worst units in the game at high level. Definitely bottom 5, I would say. But I love making battlecruisers, so I was pretty excited. I think what they changed was... actually, they nerfed the teleport a little bit, so teleport has a bigger cooldown. Which I think is good because it's kind of an annoying mechanic to deal with if teleport comes online too fast. Like, it really needs a very... well-determined downside, I guess, right? So that is nice. But they increased the range of both attacks by 1. And this was a pretty cool move by me. If I didn't send this SCV, that Overlord would have lived. But instead we take it down, and that is very, very nice. So the battlecruisers were buffed, so we're also going to be using that. The Ravens, remember, from the first game, right? They can be made without a tech lab, which also means they can be made from a reactor. So that means that we can do some nice little auto-turret harass, maybe some repair drones, stuff like that. The Viking also has an upgrade, which... there's so many upgrades, by the way, I know. It's gonna get a little confusing. I don't remember if it was on a fusion core, the tech lab, or whatever. But if you... it basically enhances the Penguin Brothers, which is really good news. What you can do is if you lift it or land them, for a couple seconds they have extra armor and they're really fast. So it basically makes hit and run with Vikings a little better, which I think is very cool. So those are pretty much the main things we're gonna use. They actually undid the nerf on the planetary. Planetaries took a hit of -1 armor a while ago. We got that armor back. In compensation for this, for late game stuff, by the way, in case you guys are worried about late game TVZ, they did nerf the ghost for camping. So that kind of this Hellion Micro, oh, barely actually gonna lift. It's very nice. That's gonna, what do you call it, negate, you know, having the extra armor on the planetary. So you're not gonna get those super campy ghost late games, but, you know, our planetary is restored to its rightful strength, I would say. There's also a couple of different upgrades in the game that I really like. There's one that's on the command center. I was reading it earlier in this game, where it's got like fire suppression or something. So it basically repairs buildings. I don't know how fast it is. I imagine it's slow. It repairs buildings without cost, so you can get that upgrade as well, which is really nice. Now, I'm just thinking about it right now. I wonder if that works on flying buildings, by the way. That would actually be kind of a big deal if it did, right? Flying buildings? I don't think I saw that play out. No, I don't think I saw that play out. Okay, that's something to think about, actually. I really only thought of that just now. But anyway, this is the build I was talking about. We're going to go for the double Raven opening. One of my all-time favorite TVZ builds, actually, was 2018, I want to say. 2017, actually, when Raven suddenly became an S tier unit. I don't remember exactly what they did. I think they buffed the auto turret, or they buffed the range of dropping the auto turret, I believe. And because of that, you could open with 2 Ravens, just keep them in the corner of the Zerg base all the time, and you would always have a solid opening. So I really, really like that build. And this is kind of bringing that back, because now I already have 4 Ravens. There's 2 more in the top side over there, exactly. I have 4 Ravens on the side, and I'm going to be able to do mass harassment with them. Now, sadly for us, he has roaches, and that means that he's very likely to attack us. I realized this instantly. So what I'm doing here is I realized the auto turrets weren't going to do anything on the defense, so I'm just going to be harassing the crap out of him with my Ravens here. Now, my BC is almost finished, and BCs did get that 1 extra range, so maybe the battle cruisers can help clean up this attack. At this point, it is very clear that we're about to be attacked. Now, making an armory there, so I could potentially make some Hellbats. I think that would be a good idea. And this is going to be... Yeah, I was trying to build an engineering bay there, but I pretty quickly realized that it wasn't really gonna stop him for that long, so that was kind of a waste of money, but it's okay. Now, I have my Hellions over here. Yeah, these Hellions can't really do much anyway. Like, even against the Lynx, they're not going to be that good because there's just so many Lynx. Now, sadly for me, this is way more roaches than I had hoped for. I thought it was going to be like 8, but instead it's like 15 or something. Like, it's an absolutely ridiculous amount of roaches. Now, the SCVs are going to do okay at making sure my base doesn't die. They're not going to do okay at making sure they themselves don't die. So that is a little bit unfortunate. Now, I did make one pretty big mistake here, actually, that I didn't realize for quite a while. In my mind... one of my supply depots in the main base was dead, so I could have closed them off for the follow-up links and stuff. I mean, realistically, it wouldn't have made a big difference, to be honest, but I could have maybe closed them off for some reinforcements. But in my mind, one of those depots was dead. Like, I could have closed them for... You see, that's exactly the moment where I realized I wanted to lift my barracks, so it would plug the hole, and then I realized I still had the freaking depot. I was like, what the hell? Now here, I'm going to clean up a couple links, but then I'm going to have to teleport across, because as soon as he gets Corruptors out, we will have lost the match, of course, so I'm going to have to be very careful. Now, he has a lot of drones on the 3rd base, but he probably doesn't have a Spire yet, if I have to. Keep in mind, my auto-turrets did an absolute number on him, right? Like, it's not like he didn't take any damage whatsoever all this time. Now, this is a little bit annoying for me, because I realized that he has 5 million transfuses. Now, I dropped a couple of repair drones. They died pretty quickly, actually. I didn't really calculate this in. In my mind, they were just gonna live, but they died pretty quickly, so I should have dropped those behind the BCs. This was a pretty big learning moment, but yeah, here you can see that Queens are pretty good against BCs, especially if they have 5 million transfuses, so that was a little bit unfortunate for me. Now, I does still have a massive eco, so I do kind of have to keep going. At this point, I was waiting for another repair drone. I'm very close to being able to afford another battlecruiser as well, but I'm not even sure if that is the right thing to spend my money on. So I'm going to drop down another repair drone over here. I still don't really have anything that can deal with even the smallest amount of links, so I'm still very scaredly chilling in my main base. My BCs are, well, slowly healing up with that repair drone, but it's also not infinite, of course. And here I went forward, and here I saw the Spire. And this Spire made me pretty freaking scared. I wasn't going to be able to kill it in time, so I kind of had to hope that he didn't have enough money for Mass Corruptor, dropping a repair drone over here. He does kill that, but he did lose a couple queens for that, of course. Now, I lost 2 orbitals to these links, by the way, just so you guys know. I was very aware that I was playing absolutely terrible this game. I think realistically... I mean, honestly, it's pretty hard to say. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty hard to say. I was gonna say realistically, I think maybe I should have won this game. Or could have won this game, but... I don't know. I kind of doubt that. I was thinking that for a little bit because I made some pretty bad mistakes. But that counterattack was realistically going to kill all my stuff anyway. I mean, I would have had 2 more mules, but obviously, you know, he had 40 drones and he already had a Spire. So it was a very cool strategy we did. Execution was absolutely terrible, but it was still enjoyable. Let's go to game number 2. Game number 2 is going to be on another one of those new maps. I am kind of starting to like the new maps, actually. I don't know how they are balance-wise, but... I just like that they're different. Like this weird gold base next to my base is maybe a bit disadvantageous for Terran because I feel like Terran can't take that base. Whereas I would say Zerg and Protoss probably both can with batteries and queens and stuff. But it does allow me some more harassment opportunities, so it is what it is. Now this game I was going to go for a different build. This game I was more interested in going for the Banshees. Like I think battlecruisers are great, but if you play on maps where you're a bit more likely to be attacked, like this one, you know, he's very likely to take that half gold base. That means that his larvae are going to be closer to my base. My natural feels very wide open, a little bit further away. You don't usually want to go for BCs there, I think. Like, BCs are more, you know, you play on a... Like, they can teleport across the map, right? So it doesn't matter how big the map is, so you might as well have the map be big so you don't die to an attack. It's very simple logic there. So I really... This is going to be like half freestyle, half planned builds. I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. The reactor first here was just by instinct. I do like playing reactor first. Probably the only Terran in the world that does like playing that. But I don't know, for some reason it's nice. Now here my instinct told me I was getting cheesed, and then I quickly realized that he was indeed very likely taking that base. There you go, we see the gas, and here we are going to see that next base. It's actually a pretty sneaky base, because it's a worker-only path that goes down. So it's not like you can use it to get back up in the main. Like, for example, with Reapers or whatever, no, it's small units. I know it looks like a small ramp, but it's very specifically a worker-only path. So only workers can pass through. You can't use it with units in any way. Unless you actually mine out the mineral patches, but that's going to take quite a while, I'd imagine. I'm going to go for a couple of Marines first. Here, I was starting to change my strategy up a little bit, because what I thought was, since he has a half gold mineral base, we would probably suffer economically pretty badly. So for that reason, I wanted to do some kind of attack, okay? So my first instinct was to do a Hellbed attack, and then follow up, I mean, probably still gonna go for Banshees or something, but I really figured, like, I really mostly want to make new stuff, right? And Hellbed attack is not really one of them, but I also don't just want to give away the game for free by letting him have, 30% more income than me or whatever it really is. So I decided to go for a Hellbed attack and then go into some more mech units. Now, very likely going to be the Banshee. At this point, I hadn't really decided yet, to be honest. Now, here he sees that I'm extremely likely to attack him, because I have a million Marines. At this point, I think he probably should know exactly what this build is. But, I mean, the starport is almost finished, and all you really need is one medevac, you boost it across, and that's when the attack already hits, right? So I'm not sure if he would even have time to make like a roach warren and get enough roaches out. That's one downside that I was thinking of for Zerg here, is that his reinforcements wouldn't be able to come from the main to the natural, right? Like, you kind of have to walk all the way around still, because his reinforcements also cannot take that worker-only path. So I was thinking that maybe the Hellbed attack here is actually not that crazy. Commonly seen as a pretty freaking bad build in the pro scene. Mostly because queens just kind of defend it on their own if they just build enough queens, which is pretty standard. I think it can be situationally good. Here, I actually think it was a pretty decent idea. Now, behind this, you can see the follow-up already. Here, I'm going to go for a second starport instantly, which, is pretty absurd, but I mean, it fits me, so here I'm going. Now, here I didn't see any units, so I went in very deep. And then, just as I looked away, a lot of links came from downtown, and this was, in the end, the worst possible fight we could have taken. And sadly, I did continue playing badly. I still don't think the game is over, of course. I told you guys this was going to be an absolutely monstrously epic series, so obviously the series is not going to end here, but that was pretty bad. And I was just a little bit greedy there. I was kind of thinking in my head that he should probably go for roaches, right? So when I didn't see units, what I thought was, okay, the roaches are on the way, I should probably just shove in. But instead, he was just playing links. And to be honest, this was very, very greedy from him, because, like I said, he probably should have realized what my build was from what I did. So relying on like 20 links to defend the Hellbed attack is, that's pretty sick, to be honest. So sadly for us, I think we could have done, I don't think we would have won the game, but we could have done a serious amount of damage there. But instead, we take a very bad initial trade. Now, this is actually pretty decent. This is also a pretty nasty Hellion spot over there. So that is great. And we have our Banshees coming up. So ideal situation from now is that he attacks us with roaches or a lot of links, because the Banshees are going to be able to deal with it. Worst case scenario would very likely be Mutalisks? Yeah, Mutalisks would actually be pretty terrible. Then I'd have to make like Mass Liberator or something to get out of that. Or perhaps Hydras could be bad, but once again, don't forget, we are gonna go for the Banshee splash damage upgrade, right? And I would imagine that splash damage is going to be pretty good against the Hydras. I mean, that's pretty much how you counter Hydras, right? Either you have anti-light stuff, or you have splash damage stuff. And that's a very nice little trade over there. He does have a lot of links. Okay, so I thought... Oh, this is very nice here. Look at this. He did go for a Roach. That is beautiful. That's exactly what we wanted. And now I show the 3 Banshees that I was hiding. And obviously, we only see 1 Roach, but very likely if he attacks you with 1 Roach, he probably has... You know, I want to say at least like 7 or so. Yeah, there you go. It was like 9 roaches, I believe, maybe 10. That is very nice to see. And I have both cloak and speed already. Now he moved forward with the queens a little bit, so that looked like he was going to have an overshare, but maybe it was just a misclick. It is hard to tell. Now my idea was that I would make a planetary at that secret gold base. We're going to barely not kill that queen, sadly, but we did take down a couple already. Make a planetary at this semi-gold base so we can mine from that efficiently and safely, more importantly, right? Keep in mind I can transfer with the worker only path, so that is great. And then I just keep making command centers in front, add more planetaries. And we don't exactly go for a 5cc setup like I usually do, but we're gonna do something pretty close. Now at this point I just want to go mass harassment with the Banshees. I actually think that you can literally play mass Banshees if they play ground because of the splash damage upgrade, which is crazy. Now, for now, I was still assuming that he was going to go for the Spire, so I'd probably start adding turrets at some point soon. Spire would be pretty painful. I'm still just YOLOing in my Hellions because, I mean, honestly, the Hellions are just not really that important on the defense, right? Like, it's... Oh, there... I don't know how my Banshee saw it. I was kind of wondering. I didn't remember when I saw the Hydra Den. Obviously, I remember that I saw it. But I was like, I don't know how I saw it because I'm not going to get past the Spore. But somehow, with that just a little bit of shaky movement on the Banshees, I managed to see the Hydra Den, which is absolutely beautiful. And keep in mind, we are getting this the splash damage upgrade. It should be finished in about 20 seconds or so, and that's going to be very exciting. Like, when you get new upgrades like that, you know, whenever Blizzard does new patches or whenever you play a mod, it's always like, this could be the worst upgrade I've ever built, or it could be the best one, and you don't know until you see it, you know? Like, sometimes it's obvious, like, sometimes stats on something are sick, but it's... here, I didn't even see any stats. I just saw that it did splash damage in the line. But it was nice positioning on the Hellions by me, getting ready for the Link counterattack that I was expecting on the bottom side over there. I think my planetary probably has finished already at... the front, most importantly. Now, I think, yeah, you could see the splash damage working already. It doesn't have a massively obvious effect, but I did see that it lined through a little bit there, I believe. And there we see a very big Roach Hydra army, and you would wonder, how on earth can I defend that, right? Because my entire army is, was it 2 Hellions and 7 Banshees, I think. I'm pretty sure that's what my entire army is, but I do have the planetary, luckily for me. Now, my Banshees did fly into some queens there. Lost 2 Banshees there, actually. It's very, very painful. Now, which planetary is he going to fight? He didn't want to fight the first one, so he's going to go for the second one. But now, let's see, guys. The Banshee splash damage looks very, very powerful already. Look at that. The Hydras are actually getting carnaged over here. That is gorgeous. Wow. And then he's going to be out of anti-air. He's going to kill the planetary. But is that going to matter, guys? That is the question, because I already have a command center ready. So I'm just going to lift up my next command center. Now, queens are definitely a way bigger issue than the Hydras, right? Because Hydras are very squishy. Queens are the opposite of squishy. I wonder actually if queens are like the tankiest unit per resource. I don't know if that's true. It's just something that I thought of literally just now. It's very tanky. It's like one of the most useful units in the game, and it has 175 health. Like, it has more HP than a freaking Viper. I learned that the other day when I was doing Who Wants to Earn a Million Minerals with DNS. Basically, Lotto Weekend Millionaires, but in StarCraft 2. Now, since we hadn't seen area units yet, I'm still just making mass... Look at this. It's going to be so beautiful. Look at the splash damage on the high. It is so gorgeous, man. I absolutely love this. This is literally what I live for, guys. I need new tools in StarCraft. That's what I want. I need new tools. I want to abuse them. I want to make Reapers to snipe buildings. I want to make Banshees with splash damage to kill Hydras. It is just so freaking delicious. He's probably going to get annoyed because he's trying to counterattack, but I have planetaries here. And now he has links in my base, but I have freaking Banshees with splash that can deal with it. At this point, I can't really get through much more of his base because he does have mass spores, but G is called. And even though the game had a very, very bad start, if you guys remember, with that completely failed Hellbed attack, we trade more than double the efficiency, showed up there for a second, 6k against 12.6k because of the Banshees with splash damage, and this was a very awesome tool that I was very happy to use. For game number 3, I decided to be a bit of a sneaky guy and go for a command center first. And this might surprise you, because our boy Fjant over here has been cheesing us a little bit, right? Like, basically 2 games in a row. Last game might have been more of a reactive attack that he did, but basically 2 games in a row, or 2 games in a row, rather. Went for a very big Roseling attack. First game was pure all-in. Second game was a bit more of a pressure. But CC first is actually not that bad against a lot of early game builds. Like, ideally, he would go for a regular pool first, 6 Zerglings, and that's when CC first is the best possible build, because it's going to be finished by the time the Lings arrive, and you just have a wall, so that's very chill. If he 12 pulls, we would be in trouble, but no one ever 12 pulls besides me against Terran, I think. If he would go for something really ridiculous, like a 1-base Ravager all-in, which is a bit outdated at this point, but some people might still do it, that would be problematic. But besides that, it's actually quite okay against things. Now, not scouting with an SCV, that was a little crazy by me. Honestly, I kind of forgot. And then at this point, I realized that, well, it's kind of late to scout now, right? So I didn't anymore. But probably should have SCV scouted with this. Just so you know, right? Like, if there's something on the way, maybe you can desperately survive with a bunch of bunkers or whatever. But it's, yeah, it was too late at this point, so it's okay. Now, we do have the wall up already, so if he's going to attack without Ravagers or Banelings, right? Then we should be okay. Command Center is finished, which is going to be very nice for me. And then the idea here was just to play a very similar thing. Whichever of the air units I felt like abusing, honestly. Vikings, Banshees, or BCs, but just with a better economic start. Now, he did go for... This is actually 8 Zerglings I already saw. This is a very aggressive opening by him. And I wasn't entirely sure about it yet, so normally this would be good for me. But it is more links than usual, so I wonder how much damage I'm going to take here. I was actually a bit annoyed that he found my SCV that was going to the top there. I was like, this is going to be a nice way to sneak it out there. But instead, I think he found every single SCV that I tried to hide. Somehow also found that one, so I did lose 3 SCVs to it. I also was a little bit unlucky with the RNG on that factory building SCV. Not quite sure if you guys saw that before. But so I did lose 3 SCVs, including a slight delay on the factory. So I think it went from being good to just being kind of normal, I guess. That's the best way to put it. Now, judging from his base, we can see that he is actually not doing anything sneaky, so that is nice. Now, I saw these links were out here. You might think I'm crazy, but I honestly just thought I had enough units to deal with this, and I didn't really want to waste any more time, to be honest. So we're going to keep 1 Marine alive, which is actually quite perfect. Because 1 Marine can stop the Overlord. If I lost every single Marine, that would have been a little bit annoying, because I would have had to remake one of the Marines. But as it stands, this is actually just fine, I think. Now, you can see the double starports are on the way already. I want to make some more Banshees. My opponent also chose a map that is relatively relatively close by air. So that's going to be nice for Banshees. Now, I don't quite have enough gas to afford both upgrades at once, but it's also not the biggest deal, so that's alright. Now, I decided to just send 1 Hellion out to scout, because once again, he has been kind of cheesy so far. Very cheesy, actually. Even cheesier than me somehow. Fjant! What did you eat today, my man? That's kind of crazy, out-cheesing the master. But anyway, I decided to keep some Hellions at home for, you know, another big Ling counterattack or big Ling run-by or something along those lines, right? Now, basically, the plan is to go Banshees. And then, if you see a Spire... Now, he does have a couple Jones on that third, so that's a bit reassuring for me. If he goes for a Spire, we would go for Liberators to deal with the air units. That's basically the idea. And if you would go for Corruptors... Oh, that's very nice to see again, guys. A Roach attack. I'm going to do something crazy here. You guys might think I'm insane. I'm going to build my 30C in the wall as I see the Roaches are about to arrive. Because a Command Center is pretty tanky. It plugs the wall instantly. And I think I should be able to kill the Roaches before the Command Center goes down, as long as I keep sending more SCVs. So I'm going to lose a couple of SCVs at least, trying to take care of that, but it's going to be a wall. And the scariest thing about these kind of attacks, by the way, is that the Roaches kill the wall, and then 5 million Lings run in. That's what happens. So I just wanted to make sure to have a wall at the front, and we're going to deal with this very efficiently. Now, depending on if he actually made links behind this, this could be quite good for me, or just okay, I would say. Because I didn't see any extra links, right? Like, if you had like 40 links behind this, we would be super chilling. But since I didn't see any links, I think it's just okay. Because keep in mind, I'm still doing 2-base double starport, right? So I need to do some damage. It's not like I played world's most economic opener and then I killed this all in without taking damage. No, I played 2 base, speed Banshee, and then I killed his pressure. So in the end, not quite as amazing as I would have hoped for, but it's still a very nice opening, of course. And what I decided to do was just go for the gases here, because he has a lair already, I noticed that. If he has a Spire, you don't want him to have gases. Because if this guy can make 12 mutas at once, then we're going to be very sad with our Banshees, right? So that is why taking out the gases is very, very nice. Taking out a couple drones here and there as well. Now here we notice that he didn't actually have every gas on his natural. So that's when I thought it was probably not going to be a Spire. And now we can see that he did make the Spire, but it was a reactive one. Also, he didn't cancel that second one, I believe. So we actually got a kill on the second Spire, which is pretty brutal for him. Now this game, I'm a little bit greedier than the last game because my third base is not a planetary. So that might cause complications, but the general idea was the same here, right? We keep making Banshees. We go for the splash damage upgrade. That's going to make it good against... I mean, as far as we could see, it's going to make them good against all ground. Besides probably Infestors. Fungal would probably do a number on me, but against everything that actually attacks. In fact, this game, watching this just now, made me kind of excited to try this against Protoss even. That could be pretty sick against Stalkers. Now, this looks like a pretty nice trade for me as well. So that is great. I don't think Lynx are really necessarily what he wants to have at this point. So we're kind of killing the units that he probably didn't want. But still, I'm not going to complain about free units, guys. I'm alright with it. I believe... Oh, no, we did already start the splash damage upgrade. It said it's nice. Here I started 3 starports. Last game I started 2, here I started 3. The reason why I started 3 is because I very strongly suspected that he, as you can see by making turrets, that he rebuilt the Spire. And I really just wanted a big amount of starports to produce Liberators and Vikings if I needed to, right? Like I was thinking if I don't have those, it's going to be problematic. Now there I actually built the fire suppression upgrade. I didn't notice it come into play in the game itself because I just didn't pay attention to it. But if you somehow just see my building start repairing itself, then that is very cool. Because that's because of that upgrade, and it's very nice. Now, my supply here is quite low. I think we're in the kind of situation where my position in the game is fine. But I don't have a lot of units yet, and that is pretty scary, right? Like, if he would have hit with a big Hydra timing before I got my splash damage upgrade or a lot of mutas on their way, that would be a bit problematic, of course. Now, I literally just caught the end of that roach dying, sniped my SCV in the wall. And I think this is an SCV that I forgot to put back on for quite a while. So that freaking last attack of the Roach, as it was dying, it's dying freaking acid spit or whatever that's called, actually killed by SCV, unfortunately. So that is a little bit painful, but it's okay. Now I saw the Roaches move out to the top, probably going for a counterattack, so that's why I moved my Banshees this way, and we did catch them. Now keep in mind, we do have the splash damage upgrade here already, so it's going to be very good against everything on the ground. Even those. Now there we saw a couple of mutas finish. So we have to be very, very careful here, of course. Gonna get a quick cancel on that base. It's actually, I wasn't gonna cancel that, but he canceled it for me. So that is nice. These mutas are gonna be pretty painful. He has a lot of roaches here. My Banshees would destroy these roaches, but he does have a lot of mutas near. Now I didn't see the Overseer, but then he had an Overseer with speed. I didn't really see the speed coming, so we are gonna lose a lot of Banshees here. It looks like we lost maybe 6. Like, it was really quite a lot of Banshees we lost, unfortunately. Now here I'm gonna start Liberator range. I'm also checking out the other upgrades because I was sometimes I got a little lost. I see 2 new upgrades here. I got Liberator range in the end. Now I have a planetary. Command center on the left is still not building, by the way. Like I said, that freaking roach, man. I'm telling you, that freaking one roach actually hurt me pretty badly. Now since I lost my Banshees, I have to be a little bit more scared against ground. That's why I got the Liberator range upgrade. Gonna make a couple more turrets here. And I'm definitely regretting a little bit not having a planetary on this third base because... I mean, I don't have that much anti-ground right now, guys. It would actually be pretty painful. Now, there is an attack. I have enough Liberators to deal with this, so he has to be very scared here. Liberators are not amazing against mutas until you get attack upgrades, but they're still pretty good, as you can see. Like, you know, I still lose some Liberators. I still have to micro my way out of it a little bit, but they're still pretty good. Now, this is a pretty massive attack over here. I have Banshees. He can transfuse off creep. Actually, maybe the patch changed that. No, probably not. I don't think he can transfuse off creep. I'm sieging my Liberators here. I know it's scary to siege Liberators in range of Ravagers, but I just had to make sure I could clear this. The Liberator that I sieged actually cleared out the Queens, by the way. So now my Banshees can kill all of the Ravagers. He thought he could move forward into my natural, but lo and behold, he's playing against uThermal. And there's, of course, a freaking planetary in the natural as well, because why not? Is it a bronze player? Is it uThermal? You don't know. Until you check the name tags, I guess. Actually, just noticed that one worker is missing from my gas in the natural. Those little beauty areas hurt me a little bit when I see them. It's very unsatisfying somehow. I hope at some point I actually get the worker back in that gas. Now, I haven't seen any new mutas, but here we see new corruptors. One thing that's important to note is that Ravagers cost a lot of gas. Okay, one Ravager is basically 100 gas. 25 plus 75. So you can't make a million mutas if you have a lot of Ravagers. So he's not going to have a ton of mutas slash corruptors, but he can definitely start making them now, so we're going to have to be careful. Here, I actually don't have that much anti-air, but I think he kind of got confused, actually. I think he saw like a big air ball, and it was like, I only have 3 corruptors, let's back off. Honestly, those 3 corruptors could have been annoying. I mean, I would win the fight eventually, because I could repair my libs. But fighting Liberators against Corruptors is pretty depressing. Like, you really just tickle them for the most part, so that is unpleasant. Now, this is a perfect game, of course, to go for... Wait, that CC was actually still not building, or did he kill it again? Wait, what happened to that CC, or was it a new one? Huh. That is... Wait, did it actually stop twice? But anyway, more importantly, guys, it's Viking time. And you guys remember what that Viking upgrade was? The Viking upgrade, guys, whenever you lift... or land, or no, yeah, lift them up or land them, they get, I think, 4 armor, and they get a crazy amount of speed. So you guys can probably imagine that some crazy Penguin Brother outplays are gonna happen. And I can spoil you guys that he's not gonna be too happy with this change when he sees them. He might have said something about the organizer smoking something. But that's for later. You guys will get to that point. For now, we just make mass Vikings. I have planetaries, and I have a couple libs in position. These Banshees doing an amazing job, of course, sniping a base. And here, guys, Banshees can kill drones really fast because of this. Look at this. The splash upgrade is actually doing a number on these drones. Absolutely brutal. So many of them are falling. Now, he's going to try to get in here because... But I have a planetary and Liberator set up. Now, he lost pretty much like 40 drones there, I believe, so that is absolutely gargantuan. Now, my supply is still pretty low. But my setup is pretty good. I mean, I have 4 mining bases, of course, right? Which is really, really nice. I have a lot of command centers. I have planetaries. Ravagers are good against everything I have. So that's one thing I keep in mind. The queens are not going to be super useful here. Because I don't actually have banshees, right? They don't want to walk into liberator zones. They don't want to walk into PFs. But those Ravagers are going to be quite annoying to deal with. At this point, it looks like he's on 3 bases. Maybe 4. Depending on if he was able to rebuild one of his bases. Now, I'm not quite sure what the upgrade situation here when it comes to, you know, him having +2 armor or nothing. I have no idea. For some reason, I didn't click on it. With Vikings, it's not that important because you kind of just want to go in and snipe one Corruptor and get back out and things like that. So, it's not the most important fight, but if he would dive in, it would be important. Now, here you can see how the Ravagers are a big problem. Ravagers also counter Liberators quite well. So, for now, we're just going to be evacuating this base for the most part. I mean, this planetary, I can really just chill behind it for a while. I have a bunch of turrets, resieging the Liberator so it doesn't die. The bio is nice. The planetary, he really doesn't want to fight, to be honest. It's just annoying as heck to fight against the PF. Got a couple more Liberators online here. That's going to help me get that away at some point. He can't really move forward with the Corruptors to snipe the Libs because I can kite his Corruptors back into my turrets as well, which is very, very annoying for me. Now, slowly an idea started forming into my mind, guys. Normally, you don't want to do this with Vikings because they can produce enough. Vikings are good because they have long range and they can kite. They're not usually good at fighting straight up, okay? They're okay, I would say. They're okay, but they're mostly meant to counter stuff from a long range, like Colossus, Broodlords, that kind of thing, you know? But let's say he follows me with the Corruptors only. What I can do is I can land the Vikings and then lift them. Look at this. You're going to see the effect on the Vikings. You can't see the armor yet, of course, but they get really fast when you pick them back up. You're going to see that soon. So if he would decide to bring just the Corruptors back, I can lift my Vikings, and then I'm going to fight with extra speed and extra 4 armor. And we just killed another base as well, by the way. Like, he's moving forward with Spore Crawlers, but my planetary is holding down the 4th. And I already have another 4th base at the same time on the left side. So my economic situation is still pretty good. I have no idea what he's bringing back still. It has to be the Corruptors because I don't see them at the front. He's making a lot of links as well. And now let's see. This is going to be awesome, guys. He has the Corruptors here. But now he's going to have to fight with +4 armor. And look at the speed on those. Oh, that's actually gorgeous. I didn't notice how it would work, but it's actually like a super speed. Now, let's try it again. I'm very curious. Look at this. I lift them, or I land them, I lift them, and you can just zoom away. It is actually so gorgeous, man. The Penguin Brothers are so back. Shout out to Patches, guys. My eyes are bleeding, Jan says. Oh, it is delicious. Absolutely Zerg tears, guys. It is delicious. And we land them, and we lift them, and zoom. It is so good. I do think, honestly, I mean, they're a little bit too fast, but I mean, it is one way to make them better, because realistically, if you lift Viking, I keep switching the words lift and land for some reason. If you lift them and then land them, no, God, sorry, if you land them and then lift them, they're slow, so they would just die to biles. And this is like one way to make sure they don't die to biles, right? That's a comment I made for fun. But low-key, it's kind of true. Zerg always running circles around us, and now we get to do it once, and they're like, my eyes are bleeding. What was he smoking? And I mean, he's kind of right, because they're a little fast, but, you know, still, it is quite hilarious. Now, I don't think at this point he really has drones left. I remade my Banshees in the meantime, because I've already cooked all of his Corruptors. I have enough resources to repair this planetary. The Banshee Splash is absolutely delicious, and we are going to be taking down Fian 2-1 in an absolutely delicious series where we abuse battlecruisers, Ravens, Vikings, Banshees, and StarCraft 2 is so freaking back. Series number 3 is going to be against Björn, and this is going to be extreme chaos, because if you ever mess with mech units in particular, TVT is gonna get a little crazy. Every time the Raven got buffed or whatever, like very often we just end up in like mass Raven metas. I think at some point I 2-0'd Clem in an online cup by just making mass Ravens as well, one of my challenges after they got buffed. So this is going to be a lot of chaos, a lot of fun as well. I didn't really know what builds I wanted to go for, to be honest, because TVT just gets a little crazy. I knew I wanted to make mech units, right? Kind of similar to what I've been doing so far. Reapers would be a little better than against Zerg, but then again, Terran buildings can fly, so it's like... Actually, thinking about it, you could probably go for that strat and kill some add-ons. I don't know how efficient that would be, honestly. It doesn't sound like it would be, but it's a thing you could try. I was mostly thinking about killing, like, pylons against Protoss and depowering all their stuff. Against Terran, you could kill depots, which would do very well for a nice, cute little supply block challenge, to be fair. So... maybe I should sign up. I don't know how often this tournament actually happens. Maybe every week or every 2 weeks or every month. I have no idea. Maybe I could sign up next time and do a little supply block challenge with the Reapers. That would actually be quite epic. But anyway, we're playing a TVT here against Björn. I still don't know what this map is called. I've played it a couple times now. You guys have seen it a couple times in my tournament runs, but I actually do not remember what it's called. I think it might be Washout. Is this Washout? Or Black Rock? It doesn't look like it would be called Black Rock, right? I'm trying to remember all the map names. I know the one with the half gold base that I took with the planetary earlier was Lumen. And then there is Verdant Temple, which is a map that has extremely weird expansion patterns. The rest I actually don't remember yet. So we're gonna go for a double guess here. At this point, I still didn't really know what I was gonna do, to be honest. I'm very tempted to go for the Ravens. I do remember that. Because Ravens and TVT are just... I mean, they're already good. And now you get to make more of them. I think the decision I was struggling between was going for double reactor or doing something a little bit more logical. I didn't know which one I wanted to do. That was, you know... It's like you could go for double reactor and make Marine Raven or Hellion Raven, or you could just go for single Ravens and make Marine Cyclone, which sounds already more reasonable, or you can just, yeah, go Mass Raven and then add Cyclones and not make anything from the barracks. That's another option, right? But I didn't really know. Now, this is a build that I've seen Björn do before, the 5 units, so I was kind of imagining that this was going to happen, that we were going to meet in the middle. It's going to be a little bit of a micro battle over here with grenades and whatnot. Usually pretty much nullifies each other unless you get a particularly terrible fight, so we shall see. Pretty good micro on our side so far, I have to say. We get one Reaper over here. Being a little bit brave on the chase because, you know, reinforcement units arrive. But yeah, just like I said, pretty much gonna nullify each other, so nothing is gonna happen from here. It's important to know that there's no Reapers left, actually. Because if there's Reapers left, that means they can jump into the main base fast, and you kind of have to keep that in mind. He had one Hellion left that might have been low HP even. I'm not quite sure what the HP is, but either way, 2 Marines at the front will do the trick. Now, this game I went for a double factory. Because I wanted to kind of play either Cyclones or Blue Flame Hellion, right? kind of using the Raven as an anchor, right? The Ravens do the harassment, the Ravens keep me safe, and the Heli and Cyclone are kind of like the supporting squad. That was pretty much what I was going for here. I'm going to send my 2 Ravens to his base. Definitely should have gotten that 4th gas, by the way. I can tell now. At the time, I didn't realize it, but definitely should have gotten that 4th gas right away, because this is expensive as heck. I mean, it's only 200 gas for 2 Ravens, which is not as much as you would expect, but it's still, you know, it's still 200 gas, which is quite a lot, especially if you're playing double factory as well. So 4th gas would have been nice. Gonna go for Cyclones now. There's also a couple changes to the Cyclone that I didn't quite use well in this day. I'm gonna say that because the Cyclones now benefit and suffer from upgrades. And before that wasn't the case. So before you wouldn't actually get extra damage from an upgrade because you do spell damage. And you also wouldn't get owned by armor upgrades. But in this patch you actually do. So upgrades are actually quite important for Cyclones, but I didn't quite realize that at the time. Now that is a cancelled base. Here I actually didn't have energy for an auto turret that I wanted to drop, so that's very unfortunate. Also, that was definitely not in Cyclone range, but we're not going to accuse Bjorn of hacking right now. I'll do it in private. No, just kidding. So for some reason, actually, always when I play against Cyclones, they have more range than I want, and when I play with them, they don't have as much range like every freaking time. So then we basically traded a couple units for a cancel in the command center, which is not a good trade, in all fairness, but it is good that we canceled the 3rd CC because we are playing double factory, so our 3rd CC is later. So if we didn't cancel it, that would have been pretty painful for us, right? So it is something that is quite nice. Now, this fight, we are going to get punished by, honestly, my least favorite thing about the patch, and I think Mr. Patch just kind of messed up with that one a little bit. You might have wondered why my Ravens weren't doing anything. It's because this patch changed the priority of the Raven behind the Cyclone for whatever reason. So I was trying to box my army and drop auto turrets, but just nothing happened because apparently the lock-on that happens by default was more important. I know that a lot of people have talked about the Raven priority stuff, but honestly, I don't think you can change things like that at all anymore, okay? That is 16 years of muscle memory that you just destroy for everyone, right? So even though maybe realistically or objectively you want the Raven priority to be there, I don't think it's something you can really just change like that. And especially do not put it behind the freaking Cyclone. Like, that's why it could have been really good for me if I got a couple auto turrets down. Instead, I just kind of traded a Raven for a Raven, I think, which, I mean, is not that bad, but still, that could have been a nice moment. Instead, I kind of get owned. And I can tell you guys, it's not the first time that that's going to own me, so at some point, I'll get used to it, I think, during this series, but it's definitely a little painful. Now, here I'm just trying to move forward and see if I can do anything with my Raven count. He's chilling over there. One thing to keep in mind, it's actually quite important that I didn't really think about at the time, is that you can make Ravens on a reactor. But if you do that, that means you don't have the tech lab to make interference matrix. So right now, against this army he has, interference matrix would be disgusting. If let's say I had it, which would be impossible. With the unit count I have right now, it would be impossible, right? Because I wouldn't have this many Ravens, and I would have had to make another tech lab and stuff. But let's say I would have interference matrix. I think it's a very realistic chance that I kill him, because those tanks are useless, right? The Cyclones, I can probably get those too. And then he probably dies. So that is something to work around with this, right? Like, maybe you want to get 4 Ravens and then a tech lab. Maybe you want to get 6 Ravens and then a tech lab. Or you get the tech lab first. There's a lot of possibilities, right? You can just spam Ravens forever. It's cool to think about, really. And I'm not sure what the answer is yet. And that is exactly the sweet spot of StarCraft 2. Not having the answer. Trying to figure it out and getting closer every time. Being a scientist, that is what I love the most. Now here, I was a little bit afraid because what Bjorn often likes to do is send a counterattack with medevacs. Well, I mean, it's most terrorists that like to do that, to be honest, but Bjorn is quite good at it, I want to say. So I was really trying to just cover as much ground as possible. When you play this kind of active style, you don't want to sit at home, okay? You just don't. Now here I'm doing something extremely experimental, and most people would probably say I'm crazy for this, is I am going for late game Banshees against Terran, which is really something that you just can't do because it's terrible, but I'm doing it because we have the splash damage upgrade. And I was thinking maybe with Banshees I can actually kill Bio. Before, if you have 10 Banshees against a bunch of Marines, it's gonna look like the saddest fight of your life. But if your Banshees do splash damage, maybe you actually kill the Marines, right? Now obviously there are other counters, like for example, Oh, by the way, thinking about it, one thing that would be disgusting for TVT is the Viking. If you play a standard TVT and you get into mass Vikings and one guy gets the freaking Omega upgrade first, I think you might just get cooked. But like, that's actually crazy, right? Freaking 4 armor Vikings. Oh, that would be disgusting. Might be sick. Something we have to keep in mind. Now, I do think I got my interference matrix in the meantime. So I'm playing a very experimental composition that is Raven, Banshee, Cyclone Hellion. I wouldn't recommend trying it at home, honestly, but it's something that you could try. Do I have interference matrix yet? I can't actually tell. No, I don't have it yet. Okay, I thought I would have gotten it by now. Now here you can see that the Ravens are really, really useful, right? Because even if he fights into me and you would like the auto turrets die instantly, they buy so much time for the Cyclones to just do a massive amount of damage. Now this is when something very badly is happening for me. And it's the exact thing that I mentioned before I didn't realize is that the upgrades for the Cyclones are now important. So at this point, I have 0 attack upgrades, and I don't know what my opponent has. At this point, I think it's realistic that he has 2-2, I would say. So he has 2 armor against 0 attack, basically, and that's very, very painful, and I just didn't quite realize it. Now here, that fight was not the best for me, but he's not expecting the absolutely 25 IQ late game Banshee switch, right? No, he's scanned. He doesn't actually have that many Marines, so I can kind of just chill around there. He does have a Cyclone. Cyclone will die pretty fast as well if I get on top of it. But instead, we're just going to make sure to kill every tank over here, and this is going to be a very nice fight. A very nice tech switch, actually. And despite, and this is what I really like to see, because despite so many things going wrong, I don't have the upgrades, the early start was not that good, right, with me losing 2 Ravens for canceling the CC, even though it was okay-ish, it was not that good. I am experimenting with a new build. I'm using the new changes, and it seems to be working out quite well, and I really love that. Now, we are still going to be about a full base down, and we need to find an answer for that Thor, because Thors are still going to be very good against Banshees. I don't think this is going to surprise you guys, but splash damage is not the way to counter Thors, okay? I think you guys probably figured that one out by yourselves as well. Splash damage is not going to be the way to counter Thors, so that is going to make that a little bit more difficult. Interference Matrix, however, would be very good against the Thors, so we'll see. I'm not quite sure what I want to do here yet. Now, that's an extremely weird scenario where I'm playing mech and he's playing bio, but I'm playing such a weird mech that I'm the one that doesn't want to fight in my base. Like, normally if you play against mech, you want to be the one that's out on the map, and you want to be the one that's making sure that he doesn't siege in front of your base. You want to keep map control, stuff like that, right? Look at those Marines evaporating. That is beautiful. But here, the roles have kind of reversed, where I am playing a style where I don't want him to siege in front of my base, even though I'm playing mech. So I'm really staying close in front of his base. Widow Mines would have been a pretty decent addition here as well. Actually, I'm playing really mass starports right now. I think I actually forgot the hotkey. I saw that just now. I forgot to hotkey my starports in my natural. So I'm making extra starports, but I actually already had them. So that's a little bit of a mistake as well. Now we have a couple of Banshees over here, trying to do some harassment, see if we can get anything done. Any damage we can do is absolutely beautiful. Now he's using his Medivacs to ferry the Thors, which is a classic move against Mutas, and it's really funny to see, or just cool to see, rather, that he adapted that instantly to TVT because I have mass Banshees. Now I also, just like the last game, no, not the last game. Was it the last game? I think it was actually the last game, yeah, where I didn't have a freaking worker in my natural gas. That's really annoying. Now, some of these fights would have been extremely good. Look at the splash. The Banshees, by the way, guys, the Banshees. Now, he has mass Thors, but I have Interference Matrix, so we're going to go for the Matrixes. Looks like I actually missed one Thor, which is quite unfortunate. And this fight, you guys can see how close this fight is. Once again, guys, I didn't get upgrades for the Cyclones because I didn't remember that it was a thing. This fight was 0-0 against 3-3. And it was that close. I think, judging by this, we might have actually gotten incredibly close to figuring out a really awesome style on this patch right away. First TVT. I think this is really quite awesome. But yeah, I just didn't remember, guys. 3-3 against 0-0. And I need upgrades for my Cyclones. So instead of my Cyclones hitting like a truck, they now hit like a wet noodle. And that is not what you want your Cyclones to hit like. Now, also, I forgot to turn that base into a Planetary on the right side. I don't think it would have mattered, actually, because Marauder 4 is pretty good against Planetary. So it was going to die anyway, but obviously the Planetary planetary there would have been nice. Now I'm using my minerals to try and retake some bases on the left side to get a little bit of that income back. Now I still have 4 bases, that's nice. Here you can see how fast the cyclones die and how little they do, by the way. This was a really good example. Yeah, the upgrades are really mattering big time. His Thors are in front of my base. He has a big bio armor reinforcing. I only have a couple Banshees left, and that's gonna be GG. And if you look at the supply here, guys, 132 against 156. Despite the bad start, despite 0-0 against 3-3, I am actually quite happy with this game. I think we played a fantastic game. We found a really cool style on our first try. But sadly, because of this mistake, it wasn't going to be a dub, but it was still a fantastic game. Game number 2 is going to be on the actual map called Blackrock. And funnily enough, it is also a green map. So I guess the last one might have as well been Blackrock. I mean, I imagine this map has black rocks. But still, it's kind of funny that it's also a green map. So for the second game, I had a builder idea that I thought was really strong. I'm gonna go for my, well, standard. I guess you can call it standard. I like to use that a lot. My standard gas first, Reaper expansion into Reactor Hellion. That's a formula, just an opening that goes into multiple things that I've used many times over the years that I think is very powerful. So basically what you do is you go gas first, you go for Hellions right away. If you get the Hellions out, like this map for example, it's a little bit bigger. So on a map like this, you can actually get it out in time. You get 2 Hellions out before the first 2 Reapers arrive, you get to survive. And then you pretty much have a mobile army that's good against Reapers and you have more eco. And then you can go into whatever you want, right? Now here I didn't see a scout or anything, so I just decided to YOLO the low ground expansion. It's a little risky, of course, but this map did seem pretty big to me and I thought we would be able to survive. Now, what I was gonna do this time to use the new patch here is to go for Reactor Ravens as well. So I could go for Mass Hellion and Mass Ravens, and I think I would have an insane amount of attacking power. At least that was the idea. Now here I still didn't really figure out how I wanted to handle getting interference matrix, right? Like still Reactor first, just make Mass Ravens, and then we'll see was kind of the plan here. I did really like the follow-up I did in the last game. I pretty much just needed upgrades and maybe a couple tanks instead of Cyclones, maybe some Widowmines, and then that style would have been freaking epic. Like, honestly, last game, very cool. I'm always, one of the happiest moments I can have in StarCraft 2 is just when I make something new look cool. New patch like this, obviously, helps that, right? Because I get new tools, but it makes me very happy. Especially against a world champion caliber player like Bjorn, right? Like kind of, you know, owning him in some ways, despite, you know, a lot of things not going well for me. That is, makes me very happy. Now, I was hiding my Reaper over here in the grass. He actually can't see me there if he would approach. This was pretty much just... On one hand, if he would move 1 Reaper across, I could kill the 1 Reaper. If he moved multiple units across, I could kind of bait him into the grass and buy a lot of time or scare him off. So either way would be very nice. Now, he didn't actually attack us. So I think what that means is that he is either playing the 5-unit build again, or he also went for a Reaper expansion. That was my guess at the time. There you can see that second reactor is about to finish. 2 Ravens at a time is going to be delicious. And here, judging by his build, very interesting. He's actually doing pretty much the exact same thing, by the way. So that's pretty cool. Both of us thought of the exact same build. Didn't do it in game number 1. I think maybe in game number 1 he realized that the Ravens were cool, so he also wanted to make Ravens. That seems to be what happened. Now, I have a very slight advantage in this game for the only reason that I know that he's doing it and he doesn't know I'm doing it, right? So he's probably going to move out with the Hellions, or stop making Hellions at 4, and then I can overpower him with 6, or if he attacks me, I might have Defender's Advantage. Now, having said Defender's Advantage, I am probably going to be attacking all the time, so I don't know if I'm going to have much of a Defender's Advantage. And look at the resources, guys. They drop so low. Like, this build actually worked out so perfectly. It's almost like I'm doing an upgrade rush with that amount of perfection of the resources there. That is beautiful. And I'm really just spamming Hellion Raven. I'm going for an attack. I think the thing that this would be the worst against would probably be maybe like a Cyclone drop or so, but you do have a very overwhelming force, I feel like. Like, you just have double the auto turrets. Keep in mind, you also have repair drones, by the way. You also have repair drones if you need them. So here we're going to go for the attack. Let's see what we can find. It's an exposed base here, so that's going to be very nice. His Hellions were actually behind me, so that means I can drop 2 auto turrets, and I can move forward and start killing workers. Now, he's dropping his auto turrets, but I can actually get out of range of those pretty nicely, I think. We lose 1 Raven, but that's okay. Also, you guys might have noticed this. I only noticed it just now, but the Raven has a fake auto attack to prevent it from walking forward. Now, the micro hit on my side, honestly, this was quite good, making sure my Hellions don't bunch up. We're actually going to get a nice trade here. Look at that. Honestly, that was beautiful. I'm not going to lie. That was really good micro. Now, I have a couple more Ravens showing up. He is harassing my workers, but I'm killing pretty much everything at the front. Now, we're not going to be able to go up here yet, so I'm going to have to be very, very careful with that. I just need to make sure that I don't lose too many SCVs on the counterattack, and then we need to hit a good timing on the front again. Now, I could do something to kill those Ravens, like make Cyclone or Vikings, but I mean, Ravens are also just so good, right? So maybe I just want to keep making Ravens, I don't know. Now, the main reason I came back here is to repair my Hellions a little bit. I felt like I've done enough damage for now. I do believe I saw a second factory in his base. Obviously, I can't go back in time and change my gameplay to check it, but I do think I remember seeing a second factory. So that means that his follow-up could hit a bit, I wouldn't say stronger, just differently, because I have like mad resources. Now here he drops 3 auto turrets because my Ravens were there. I only dropped 1. So this was actually a pretty decent trade for me here. Like, keep in mind, Raven energy is a resource in TVT. Very, very important. So him dropping 3 there, I really don't mind it. That's going to help me break his base a little bit easier. Now, I do have a Viking on the way as well. He's going to come in here again with 1 auto turret. I'm very happily taking the damage here because I want to attack him. I think he might think this is just an economic game. He's behind in the economy, right? Because I killed more workers. So he's trying to kill as much as possible. But what I'm gearing up for is just to launch 1,000,000 auto turrets in his face and kill him. So the fact that he already launched 5 auto turrets, actually maybe even 7 in total with the one in the main, plus lost a Raven, that means that we should have a big advantage going in here. And that's what it looks like. Now, he didn't indeed have that second factory. So he has Cyclones. But auto turrets should be able to bulldozer through there quite comfortably. I think I have 7 Ravens against 4. So that's, well, I mean, he also has 7, but a couple of those are at the front. And now we're just going to get in here and drop mass auto turret. That was the plan. I dropped a couple too early, honestly. That could have been better by me. But now I'm just trying to surround his command center with auto turrets so he can't run away. And this is a nasty fight for the Cyclones. Look at the auto turrets. This is going absolutely ham. His units are bunched up. That means my Hellions are going to deliver absolute carnage on those SCVs. And we're going to be able to break through the main base. Now, he does have 3 or 4 Ravens in my main base as well. So he's going to kill a lot of SCVs. And keep in mind that my Ravens, I mean, they're useless if they don't have energy, right? So at some point, there's just going to be Hellions left, and he might be building Cyclones or stuff like that. Now here, I felt kind of stuck, so I dropped a couple auto turrets just so I could deal with those auto turrets myself. Now at this point, he has virtually no income left. But he does have a lot of Ravens, and he has a tech lab. Now there I made sure to keep my Hellion close so that Cyclone wouldn't be able to run away too easily. We're going to be able to take it down, but we are down to just 5 Hellions. Now I am also building a 3rd CC on location at the same time. That's going to make it very tough for him. I think I set my Viking back at some point. I have no idea where it is right now. Now here he dropped 4 mules at once. Definitely important to go for those. Here I was doing a move that I did like. I'm just dropping an auto turret next to the tech lab factory at all times. So if his Cyclone spawns, it's just going to take a lot of damage right away. I don't want his Cyclone to be able to reach my Hellions too easily. Now here I indeed did get a Viking. That auto turret is going to kill a couple more workers, but I think we have stopped his momentum. There's no energy left on his offensive Ravens. And the Raven battle goes the way of the Cheese Maniac. 4.2k resources lost against 7k. An absolute beauty. Well, I mean, very chaotic and very ridiculous, of course, but yet an absolute beauty. Game number 3 is going to be on the same map as game number 3 was against Fjeld. I'm still letting them pick every single map, by the way. I don't care if I'm playing against world champion Björn over here or, you know, Johnny the Menace 13 in round 1. They can pick the maps. It's all good with me. At some point I'll get used to the maps, but for now it's fine. Vetoing is actually one of my least favorite things about playing tournaments somehow. It just feels like it takes a while and I lose brain cells thinking of what maps I want to play. So honestly, I'm very fine with just having my opponents pick the maps. Just if I realize that balance on maps is really bad, then my mind is going to stop liking it, you know? Like if I play against a Zerg and they're picking like 3 maps that in my mind I know are ridiculously Zerg favorite, it might hurt my mental a little bit going into the match. But for now, on these maps, I have no idea what is balanced for who, so I am very content letting them pick the maps. Now, I was very close to doing the same build as in the last game, and I think, honestly, that would have been objectively the best choice because that build just looked really good. I don't even know what would be that good against that build. I think it's really, really strong, but I am someone that likes my variety, so for that reason, variety, hashtag content, I decided to do something else. Now, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I opened with a double gas. I actually had a couple of considerations here. I was thinking I could go for Cyclone. Just so I don't have to... Like, think about it this way, right? If your opponent plays the Hellion style that I did last game, like he did as well. If you just make Cyclones really quickly, you can have 2 or 3 Cyclones really fast. And those are the units that you want going into later in the game, right? Like, you're not gonna end up wanting that many Hellions if your opponent's playing tanks or Cyclones themselves. Now here my Reaper got extremely low HP, so I had to do some clutch micro to get this out. I'm not sure if I managed, honestly, but I guess we'll see. Now, sadly for me, I wasn't able to build that CC on location, which is a little painful. And here we get a really nice grenade off, and that is gonna save the Reaper. Very, very nice. Because that's the only unit I had. I mean, he didn't know that, but it was the only unit I had, right? So if I lost that, could have theoretically been a problem, but instead we do keep it alive, so that's nice. Now we saw the command center with our SCV. I already knew it was there, honestly, because we could tell from the SCV posturing in his natural earlier on that he wanted to Reaper expand. And I figured when his unit moved away, his SCV, because I blocked it, he just wanted to make it in the main base. Really no rocket science there, so I already knew it was going to happen. Now here I kind of wanted to give a check to see if maybe I could get a little bit of scouting. He has 3 Marines, and somehow my Reaper lives again. Now, if it's going to stay alive, I still don't know. But that is some... I mean, I am the Reaper man after all. I'm literally flaunting in his face that I'm the Reaper man right now. I'm going to drop a grenade. I wanted to go for a mind game, but the grenade actually barely wasn't deep enough there. But I actually did succeed, and you're going to see why in a second. I bought a lot of time for my Reaper, and this Cyclone should be able to intercept his guy over here. And that's really nice. I think killing a Reaper from a Reaper expander is always fantastic, because they only have 1 and they don't have the early tech, so it's just unpleasant. Now let's see something. He actually made his own Cyclone. The lock-ons get lost somehow, which is kind of funny. Oop, almost missed the pathing over there. On this map is a healing shrine, by the way, so that's what I was trying to get to. Now, it's really weird to play this game in TVT early game when you're not quite sure about the builds people do and stuff, because it's like, you know, is he going Ravens? Is he going to go Mass Cycles? I have no idea. Now here I scanned, so I would be able to kill the Liberator, but sadly barely not going to kill that Lib, so that scan was a bit of a waste, especially considering I was playing, what do you call it? I was playing double gas, so my eco is a little bit worse. And there I lose a Cyclone as well. That was honestly unfortunate. He only knew I had 1 Cyclone, so he felt safe to go out there. But I had 2. They just were a little bit disjointed. For some reason, the pathing on this map owned me a little bit early on. Like the little middle base has like a weird curve around it, so I guess my mind just kept misjudging where exactly I needed to be. Now for this game, I decided to go for the Banshees right away. And then get into the splash damage later. Now, my opponent did already make 2 Cyclones, so that is a little bit of a bad start for me, right? Like, against 1 Cyclone, Banshees with speed are really good. I think I got speed first as well. Did I get speed first? I think so. Yeah. Banshees with speed are really, really, really good against 1 Cyclone. They become pretty bad if it's 2 or more, because then you don't have the advantage of being able to jump on top of 1 and killing it right away, right? That's kind of the thing you can do. If your opponent makes 1 Cyclone, you speed Banshees, their Cyclone literally can't escape. You kill it, and then you have free reign. But if it's 2, that's going to be very inefficient. It's going to be pretty bad for you. So that's why I was hiding my Banshees over here. I did get a relatively faster command center, so that makes the situation a little better. But so far, not exactly what I wanted. Now here I go for the Fusion Core. This is probably the most absurd build I've done so far. Fusion Core off of 1 starport, 1 factory, just to get Banshee Splash is not what you would normally be executing here. So that was definitely a little crazy, but I was like, why the heck not? I think it's going to be pretty cool. Now, I was pretty sad when I did this scan because I realized he was also playing mech, and Banshees with Splash, I mean, they're just not going to be as good going up against mech, you know? Against Cyclones, they'll probably be okay-ish, but ideally I wanted to play against Marines, so this is kind of going to nullify my strategy here. So what I decided to do was to just add more factories and go for Cyclones. And by the way, the best play here by far is to just get the armories, right? It's still not in my brain. Normally when you play Cyclones, you don't actually get upgrades. Sometimes you get armor upgrades only, right? Because, you know, you do benefit from that. But I still didn't get used to getting the armor upgrades, so that is one thing that I can improve in my build for sure. And here we're going to lose at least 1 Cyclone to this Liberator, but I just wanted to make sure to resume mining right away. We only lose 1 because of some decent micro, and that's going to be pretty nice. Did I get the splash damage upgrade yet? I don't think I actually did. So I would guess that we are probably about 50 supply down so far, but we do have Banshees, we have outplay potential, so we will see. I think there's definitely all the potential still that we can make plays, especially with the Banshees, so that's what we're going to do. Now, he's 100% going to be massively up in Cyclone count. It's actually going to be it's looking like it's going to be a little bit of a clash between Cyclone Raven versus Cyclone Banshee. And normally Cyclone Raven would win that like 100 times over 100, but now you have the splash damage on the Banshee, so maybe that's gonna change things, right? Like, who knows? Let's see if we can find anything over here. He has a third base. His Ravens are in position, sadly, so he finds me. He has about the same amount of Ravens as I have Banshees. I don't actually know how I feel about the Ravens or the Banshees. Like, looking at this, I think it's better if neither of us had the air units and just had more Cyclones. Like, the Ravens would be very good if I had tanks. The Banshees would be very good if he was playing Bio. But since I don't have tanks and he's not playing Bio, both of our air units feel kind of bad here. And I guess mine are slightly more expensive, so... But mine are going to do a little more damage in the fight. It's really hard to tell how this should go. Like, normally, how things should go and how they go is kind of different because people don't play theoretically perfect, no matter who they are, right? But it's interesting to think about it because I actually don't know. He has repair drone, which is very important. I have damage output. Like, there's no way he's going to be able to launch a lot of auto turrets in the fight, you know? When armies get big, you just don't really get to drop that many auto turrets anymore. Here you can see the pathing almost owned me again. Splitting up my army would have been brutal. Losing 5 Cyclones would probably lose you the game instantly, considering I don't have tanks. At this point, I would imagine that he has Interference Matrix, but I'm not quite sure if he does. It's not 100% actually. Now, he has a turret out there, which is annoying for me. Because we're not going to be able to do that much. Now, we're going to kill a bunch of SCVs here. Banshees with the splash damage, as you can see, very good against those SCVs. Always going to rack up a couple extra. And I was just trying to make sure to not lose all of them for free. I mean, I lost, not for free, right? I killed a lot of SCVs. Now, I knew Bjorn was smart enough to surround me. That's exactly where he was. So I decided to dodge that surround. We waste another scan on his side, and we get another SCV. And he's distracted by the Cyclone army, so my Banshees are going to kill more SCVs. And with this outplay, we have gotten ourselves back into the game. Up until this point, we were still behind from the early game for sure. No doubt in my mind, but this was a very nice outplay that brought us back a little bit. Now, here you go. You saw him drop a couple of repair... I didn't actually notice that when I was playing, but I saw that he dropped a couple of repair drones there, which is cool. Now, I lost my Banshees. But... yeah, once again, they were not going to be super amazing in the fight. Oh, losing that one is a bit annoying because that one was for free. They were not going to be super amazing in the fight, so trading that for, I don't know how much it was, maybe 25 SCVs or so, sounds pretty good to me. Also, this sounds dumb, but SCVs might be very good in Cyclone versus Cyclone, because with SCVs you can bait the lock-on, and then your Cyclones lock onto his Cyclones, right? So that could be pretty nice. Hey, I just noticed another change, by the way. Yeah, you guys can actually see that, because normally my camera is there, but you can look at the command card. You can make 2 different Thors. You guys see that when I'm spamming the factory real quick? You can make 2 different Thors, so you can actually make them in the mode that you want. Instead of having to change it, you can actually make them in the mode that you want, so that's pretty cool. Now, my Cyclones are faster than you would expect, because I have a new upgrade. Now, this is honestly not... It's very tempting to chase those Ravens, but I was pretty sure that the Cyclones were nearby. Yeah, exactly, and there we see them. Now, once again, keep in mind, guys, still making the same mistake as the last game, and that is that I'm just not that good on upgrades, right? Like, it's 11 minutes, and my +1 just finished, so that could be a big impact for the upcoming fight. Assuming there's no siege tanks at least, right? Because siege tanks could happen on either side. Now, I think my economy is slightly better than his, but he probably would have rebuilt most of the eco by now. He is gonna have better upgrades, and he has Ravens where we have Banshees. Also, he hasn't lost his Ravens like we have lost our Banshees, right? That's another thing to keep in mind. There's a big army over here. It's not a massive army, it's just a regularly big army, I would say. It's not gargantuan, that is for sure. Now, here I pull the boys because, once again, I felt like it's necessary. I'm even going to chase with the boys over here. I don't know what his upgrades are, but this is just a fight we have to take anyway. And now it's going to be very interesting. Exactly. So he doesn't drop any auto turrets at all. Actually, well, he drops a couple, but really not that many. It was mostly the repair drones. Repair drones seems to be doing pretty well. Did I just lose a command center? I think I just saw a command center explode. But okay, pretty much like I was talking about, all the air units get traded, and the Cyclones also trade. I think based on this fight, I would conclude that I was probably right, that you should make neither Ravens or Banshees. Well, Banshees could be good because you can harass. Ravens make the fight go slightly better. So I think ideally, maybe you make... Actually, hold on a second. Ravens with interference, like, you have so many Cyclones that you would imagine that Interference Matrix sucks, but actually, let's just, okay. I just figured it out by thinking about it. Interference Matrix is literally just the way to go. Yeah, you just get the Interference Matrix and the Ravens that are 100 times better. Yeah, 100%. It just came to me. I thought of it, and that's 100% correct. Because Interference Matrix, even though it's more expensive to research in a late game like this, obviously doesn't matter very much. I like that he was trying to... That's a very uThermal move, what he just did. Harassing a base that has no workers because you've already killed all of them. That's an extremely uThermal move, actually. It happens to me quite a lot. Okay, so we kill 6 Hellions over there. But yeah, you get Interference Matrix once. It's an expensive upgrade, but it's, you know, late game doesn't matter. And then he would have had, like... I don't know how many Ravens he had. 10? He would have had, I think, 20 Interference Matrices. Or maybe, let's say 15. And that's 15 Cyclones. So he just takes those off the board. So that works against both tanks and Cyclones. Okay, so you're supposed to get Interference Matrix. Yeah, for sure. Either you make no air units or you get Ravens with Matrix. If you play Banshee... Actually, wait, this is good stuff. Good. I'm enjoying this theorizing session so much, actually. What you can do is you can open Banshee, skip the splash upgrade, probably, but open Banshee, get Cloak, Speed, and then... make a third Banshee, or a fourth one even, and already get the Interference Matrix upgrade, and then switch them to the reactor for Ravens. I think that's what you want to do. That's probably ideal. Either you make Ravens right away. If you play Banshees, you do it like that. You get the Interference Matrix before actually building the Ravens. Or you just make mass Cyclones and tanks. I think those are all very reasonable ways to play this, actually. At this point in the game, for me, since I haven't seen any Ravens, I should 100% be building tanks myself, by the way. I was just kind of low on gas, as you can see. I have money for command centers and all that good stuff, but I don't actually have money for... gas, or sorry, my brain's a little fried. I don't have gas for, I don't know why, I was actually a psycho for trying this, by the way, but I just felt like doing it. I was actually properly poking, oh, that's actually so stupid. I was gonna be able to sneak that base and get 2 gases from it, but I freaking poked the bear and then baited him into that. That is incredibly stupid. Now, I did manage to find my way back maxed. Judging by his army size, my opponent is also maxed. Also, they did nerf the sensor towers a little bit, by the way. I think they... cost a bit more, they have more range, but they pulse. So instead of always seeing what's inside there, you just see it sometimes. Like it kind of pulses, I believe. I did lose a couple Banshees over there. I'm gonna have to go for this again. Now this position is gonna be fine because once again we're gonna be able to pull the boys here, and that's gonna be quite nice. But this is where the difference comes into play. You see I have 100 or 200 supply. You might wonder why we're losing the battle. We are losing the battle because he has 3-2. And I have 2-0, and I completely forgot for a long time that you needed the upgrades, and GG is gonna have to be called. And honestly, about this series, guys, I felt like I was pretty much a couple Cyclone upgrades away from winning 3-0 in a best of 3 as well. Really happy with my play here. I was kind of making a lot of mistakes in game number 1, but after that I caught up and it was all, honestly, quite nice. I think my strategies were cool. We got some nice Cyclones and Banshees and Vikings and Battlecruisers abuse going on. A little bit of repair. Hopefully you guys saw the repair upgrade come into play. Now there was a loser bracket in this tournament as well, but honestly that game was very disappointing. I didn't get to make a single unit that got a new upgrade or patch or buff or whatever. What happened is my opponent went for a Hydralisk all-in. I thought I would be cool and counter it by making mass Blue Flame Hellions, followed by him attacking 10 seconds before Blue Flame finished, and I died. So didn't actually get to use anything new there, so that wasn't too satisfying, and that was going to be it for the run. Honestly, pretty nice run. Really enjoyed the patch. I'll probably be playing the next one as well if I have time. It's usually on Sundays, which is my free day, so that's a little bit unfortunate for me. But probably play it again because I had a lot of fun. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this as well. If you did, make sure to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all for the next one. Adios.